anything. Okay, so that's one, as I will record today for these word problems. So again, today's not too exciting and fun because we have to go through these word problems, but tomorrow we're gonna slow down. We're gonna go over them again, just see if you have any questions. We'll do a practice one, and then your homework for the weekend is very similar to, remember when we did that 3 variable take home, where everybody had one problem, or actually it was 2 problems, and you had to do them. Everyone's was different. It's going to be the same thing tomorrow. So everyone is going to get one word problem. That's it. You're just going to get one, because I know that they can be stressful and they are long. Like there's a lot of detail that goes into these. So on Friday, you're going to get one word problem. That's it tomorrow. And that's going to be your homework for the weekend. Okay. And again, they'll all be different. Everyone will have their own version of the assignment. So that way I know that you're doing it on your own. And then just to also warn you about Monday. So Monday, I have a doctor's appointments that were scheduled, you know, these things that get scheduled like 6 months in advance. And it happens to be right during our class time on Monday. And so instead of rescheduling, I decided that we are not going to meet on Monday for class. Okay, so I will remind you tomorrow, Monday, we are not going to meet on Zoom. What I'm going to do is record the lesson just like I am now. And it will be maybe 15 minutes of me explaining the start of a new unit. We're going to be starting absolute value on Monday. So again, no class on Monday, but I'm going to post a video that I want you to watch instead of coming to class. Okay, so that'll be on Monday. So just preparing you for that. I'm sure you're heartbroken, but hey, you can sleep in a little bit. Oh, but you got to go to squad, huh? Okay, well, you can check into squad and then go back to bed until second block. All right, let's get started with today. So we are going to do 2 word problems today, and you'll see how everything we've been doing is kind of connected. And once we fill out the top part, the rest of it is going to be like clockwork, because we've been graphing and we've been figuring out all of the max and min. So that's not going to be a problem. What'll be a problem is translating that word problem into our constraints. Okay, so where we're going to start at is this. So it's page 8 in the, oh, you can't see. Okay, I'll take my background off, my so you can see better. Okay, so let me take this off. So it's on page 8. Okay, but it's actually, we're starting on the back of page 8. Somebody, I don't know who that was, this girl copied it the wrong way. So we should be on the back of page 8, which it says 62. So it actually says page 62 at the very bottom. And at the top, it says it's worksheet 3-4, and it says example linear programming. So I'll start reading it so you know that you're on the right page. And also let me share my screen with you. And so for those of you that may not have your packet, I will share my screen and go to the actual page. Here we go. Okay, so that way you can either watch me. Let's get off of this. Come on. Okay, so I'm going to open up on Desmos. I will open up the next slide. And so that way you can see exactly where we are at. So just in case if you want to write it down or you want to watch the screen, I'm going to fill it out on the screen so you can write stuff down in your packet from the screen. All right, hopefully you're on this page. If you can't find this page, let me know so I can try to help you figure out, but this is the page that we are on. Okay. So we are going to, like I said, translate these word problems. So I'll just start by reading this real quickly. So it says a landscaping company has a crew who mows lawns and prunes shrubbery. So basically the bushes. So they're either mowing the lawns or they're like trimming the trees. The company schedules 1 hour for mowing and 3 hours for pruning. So I bet you never thought of like, oh, when you're doing, even like if I saw some of you wanted to be hair and nail like stylists and stuff, you have to consider how many can you actually book in a day that would make sense for you for your profit. So that's what they're doing here is they're trying to figure out, well, how much could I book in a day based on how long it takes me to do these things and make the right amount of money. Okay, so it also then continues on. It says each crew is scheduled. They can't do more than 2 pruning jobs a day because those pruning jobs take 3 hours. So if they do more than 2, that means they'll be at 9 hours already for the day, and most work days are 8 hours. So that's why there can only be 2 pruning jobs. All right, continuing on, then it says each crew's schedule is set up for a maximum of 9 hours a day. So they don't do more than 9 hours of work. On the average, the charge for mowing a lawn is 40 and the charge of pruning is 120. Whew. So they want us to find the combination of mowing lawns and pruning the shrubs that will maximize their income. So I know right now you're sitting here like, what in the heck? I don't even know where to start this. So here's the good thing about our word problems. If we were in school, I wouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing this for you now because I'm trying to make it easier for you. I'm going to outline everything for you just like they did here. So our first step is defining our variables. So defining the variables means what am I trying to find? So I'm trying to find what is the best number of mowing jobs. So they're going to define that as an M. That's actually the same thing as our X. So our M is really our X variable and our P is going to be our Y variable. Now, when you're setting these up, you can do whatever you want. If you want to do X and Y to make it easy, if you want to do A and B, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Just as long as you know that X is the horizontal and Y is the vertical. Okay, now next we're going to set up a system of inequalities. So here's an important thing to remember is that the number of jobs that you do, if you've noticed, we can't be negative, right? You're not going to schedule -2 pruning jobs, or you're not going to schedule -4 mowing jobs. You can't have negative numbers in all of our examples. So since M and P cannot be negative, that means that 2 of our constraints are going to be that it has to be greater than 0. So meaning that the number of jobs, of mowing jobs and pruning jobs, can't be a negative number. And so I'll explain that. It'll make way more sense once we start graphing it. You'll be like, oh, okay, I see why it has to be bigger than 0. Okay, so our system of inequalities here, we have 1 already. Let me do this. So here's 1, that's 1 line. Here's another line. Okay, here's going to be our 3rd line right here. Now, like I said, I'm going to have on all of your problems, I have all of these sentences written out for you. So you just have to take the information from the problem and fill in the blanks. So let's start with this. Mowing jobs take blank hours. So if you go back up here, the mowing jobs, where are we at? The company scheduled 1 hour for mowing jobs. So I'm going to take that 1 hour and put that in that first box. Mowing jobs take 1 hour. Pruning jobs take, up here, 3 hours for pruning jobs. So I'm going to take that 3 hours and put it down in this box. So what I'm doing is I'm taking everything that deals with hours and is going in this 3rd equation. There are blank hours to do the jobs. So that was down here. They have 9 hours a day. That's all they can work is 9 hours a day. So that's going to go in that 3rd box. So now you're going to put that is your 3rd equation right there. So mowing jobs, remember mowing jobs were defined as our M up here or our X. So that means 1M. So I'm going to write this in here, 1M or 1X, however you want to write it, 1M plus 3P or 3Y cannot be bigger than or has to be less than or equal to 9 hours. So again, why we're doing this all has to do with hours. All has to do with hours. So 1 hour for mowing jobs plus 3 hours for pruning jobs is equal to 9 hours in the day. Okay, so that's why we put that all into one sentence. So that's my 3rd one. Okay, let me stop right there. How are we doing so far? I know that's a lot. How are we feeling so far about this equation? Any questions on that equation? Yes, no? Anyone want to hit their head against the wall yet? I know that's a feeling. Okay, there is one more now, which has to deal with this sentence right here. Okay, This is our fourth equation. So this sentence, each crew is scheduled for no more than 2 pruning jobs. And that's what I talked about before. So they're saying that they don't want to do more than 2 a day because that's going to take up too much time in their day. So there are no more than 2 pruning jobs. So that means pruning jobs, or P, has to be less than 2. So that's our fourth equation right here, is P is less than or equal to 2. Okay, so back here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equations that we're going to have to graph, which is down at the second half of your page. Now, some of you may be thinking to yourself, well, what about this money? Like, there's more numbers in this problem. I haven't done anything with these numbers yet. So this money right here, the $40 and the $120, that has to do with your profit. So we're going to use that later. Keep that in mind. That's your profit function that you're going to plug in at the very end. So you don't need that right now. The money is for the very end when you go plug it in. Okay. I'll give you like 30 seconds if you need to copy anything else down, and then I'm going to open up the next screen and we will look at the graph of this function. Oops. Okay, we'll look at the graph of this function. So that's down at the bottom of the page. Okay, so now we have all of our graphs. So let me just go over this with you and how they did this. So they graphed those for you. We didn't do them together. Now, where are these 4 at? So remember our first one, I'll write it over here. Our first one was, X is greater than or equal to 0. So that is this line right here. X is greater than or equal to 0. That is the x-axis. That's what that means. And so remember, that means that I can't have any negative x's. Doesn't make sense to have negative mowing jobs. Or this is our M. Sorry, we chose M and P. The other one is P is greater than or equal to 0. And that means, here's my P, or my y-axis. That's my second equation. Okay. So this is what is going to be easy for you, is every single one of these linear programming problems you're going to do, this is always going to be the same, because we are never going to sell any negative products and we're never going to have any negative inventory. So those 2 lines that I just drew on here are always going to be there. So those 2 are a given every single time. It's the other 2 that you have to worry about. Okay. The second one then, the third one, let me change my color here. The third one is this line right here. So that was our 1M plus 3P equals 9. Now what they did though is they had to solve for P, because P is your Y. So they subtracted the M over and then divided by 3. So their equation would have been P is the Y. So their equation would have been, negative 1/3 M, right? Yeah. And then plus 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3. So they would have had this, and then we went down 1/3, down 1/3, down 1/3. Okay, so that's how they got that line. And then lastly, our last equation was that P, the pruning, cannot be greater than 2. And that's where this line, I'm doing it in blue, that's where this line comes in. Okay, so we have 4 equations that are going into this problem, and they shaded for you where your feasible region is, which is right in here. Okay, so that's the shape that you're making. It's actually a trapezoid. What up? You'll learn about that in geometry. So here's a trapezoid. Okay, so now that we understand the graph, step 4 then is to find the coordinates. So they already have the coordinates on there for you. There are these 4 points right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so the vertices, we can type these in, or you can write these in, are going to be at 0, 0. It doesn't matter what order you put them in. 0, 0, 0, 2, 3, 2, and then 9, 0. So see, everything so far, now from this point on, step 4, actually step 3 on, all of this stuff you should know how to do because we've been doing it for 2 days already. It's just the translating the sentence into your equations. Okay, step 5 is to write the profit function. It needs to be maximized, which I mentioned already. So here is your profit function. Remember, up in the word problem, it said that they make $40 on, or they charge $40 for mowing the lawn and $120 for pruning. So that's where the 40M plus 120P comes from. Our goal here is we want to find the maximum value for this function. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and go to the other side of that worksheet. So the other side of the worksheet, which is step 6 and 7, you already know how to do 6 and 7 on the back. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, maybe less than that, and I want you to fill out steps 6 and 7 on the back. I'm going to open up this next slide for you so you can see where we are. Okay, clear all the drawings. So here on slide number 4, this is on the back here, we are filling out steps 6 and 7. So again, you know how to do this. You've done this already. This was actually in your bell work. So take a couple minutes and go ahead and fill this chart out. You can fill it out in here, or you can just fill it out on your paper. I'll give you, like I said, about 3, 4, 5 minutes. We'll see how quickly we get it done. And then I will go over the answers with you. Okay, so I'll give you a quick little brain break to work on this. I'll stop talking, and then we will tackle the second problem. Also, please chat me if you're confused, you have any questions, okay? Please don't be shy. Okay, team, hopefully we are close to being done with the chart. Shouldn't take too long to plug those numbers in. So let's go over those numbers real quick. So I'm not going to go over this middle column. That's just your work if you want to show your work. So for the first one, you plug in 0,2, you should get 240. For the second row here, when you plug in 3,2, you should get 360. When you plug in 90, you also get 360. And then when you plug in 00, of course, you get nothing. Okay, so the step 7 then says to select the maximum amount. That's what we are trying to figure out. We're trying to maximize the profit here. So this case is special. It doesn't happen all the time, but it might happen. So if it does, you didn't do anything wrong. There are 2 maximum values here. So we have a maximum value at, the maximum values are 360. So 360 at 3,2 and 360 at 9,0. Okay, so when you are doing your homework, everything, I have all of this typed out for you. You just have to fill in the blanks. So it should look very similar to this for you. Hopefully it won't stress you out too badly. The last sentence then says, this is like the big hitter. So this is like, okay, what does this mean? So this means that the company receives the most money with 3 mows and 2 prunings a day. That's where this comes from. 3,2 means 3 mows and 2 prunings. So if they do that in one day, they will get the most amount of money. Or they could do 9 mows and no prunings, and they will also receive the maximum amount of money. So those 2 combinations daily will maximize their profit. So that is like the big hitter. What we're trying to do is report back to them what is going to be the best situation for you to make the most money. All right. That is it for example number 1. Whew, that took us 15 minutes. That is okay. So we only have one more example that we're going to go through. And this one, the reason why I'm going through 2 is because this one is, of course, a little different. There's no way I can go over every single example, but I tried on your homework to mirror one that is just like the one that we did now. And then I'm going to do another one. So look back at these 2 examples to help you. Okay. And also remember, I recorded this. So if you need to look back at what I'm saying, that will help you too. You can do that. Okay, this example is also in your packet. It's page number 10. Page number 10 in your packet if you have it. It has a chart on it. It says 3-4, think about a plan. I'm also going to open up, if you are following along on Desmos, it is slide number 5. So I'm going to be on slide number 5 on Zoom if you want to watch and follow along on slide number 5. Or you can just listen and fill in as you go along. Okay. So now in this situation, we are cooking. We are looking at ingredients for 2 different types of muffins. So I'll just read this very quickly and then we'll talk about how we fill this in. If you notice, there's a chart to fill things in here. Okay. And again, on your homework, I made the chart for you. You don't have to do that. You just have to know where to put all the information. Okay, so we are making corn muffins and we are making bran muffins. Doesn't sound very appealing to me. I'd rather have like chocolate or like blueberry or something, but hey, it is what it is. So we got corn muffins, and it says that when we make corn muffins, it takes 4 cups of milk and 3 cups of wheat flour. When we make bran muffins, it takes 2 cups of milk and 3 cups of wheat flour. I bet you never thought this was really important when people are actually making stuff, but it is, because you have to see how much do I have to order? Like, what do I need to order in order to make it work? Okay, the baker has 16 cups of milk and 15 cups of flour. He makes $3 per tray of the corn muffins and $2 of the bran muffins. So right there, when you see that money, remember that money is going to go in your profit. Okay, so don't even worry about that right now. Then it wants to know how many trays of each type of muffin should we make to maximize the profit. Okay, so on here, I'm going to highlight what is going to be helpful for you. So if you notice the milk, okay, so I'm going to look at this row of milk right here. So I'm going to go to my problem and I'm going to underline every single thing that talks about cups of milk. So we have here, it says 4 cups of milk. Then if I keep going, I have 2 cups of milk. And then finally 16 cups of milk. So in our word problem, the word milk comes up 3 times, 3 different values for milk. So those 3 things are what we're going to plug into our chart. So the first one says it's 4 cups of milk for the corn muffin. So down here in my chart, I'm going to fill in 4 because that's 4 cups of milk for the corn muffin. It takes 2 cups of milk for the bran muffin. So you're going to type a 2 or write a 2 in that column. And then it says our total cups of milk can only be 16. So 16 is going to go in that box. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So it's like I lined up the chart here. 4 cups of milk for the corn muffins, 2 cups of milk for the bran muffins, 16 total. Now, what am I going to do with this X and Y? Why did I write that there? Or why is that there? Because that's the variable that's associated with the milk. So this is actually going to be 4X, and that will be 2Y because it's 4 for the corn muffins. So 4 times the corn muffins and 2 times the bran muffins. So that is going to be your first equation right there. And we'll write that in a second. All right, then the next one, let me do this in another color. We'll pick green. So now let's deal with the flour. So I'm going to underline everything that deals with flour in this problem. So 3 cups of wheat flour, 3 cups of wheat flour again, and then 15 cups of wheat flour. So those 3 numbers are going to go in the flour row. So 3 cups, they both take 3 cups. So as I come down here, it'll be 3X for my flour, for the corn muffins, and 3Y for my bran muffins. The total number of cups was 15 for the flour. So we just have to take what they give us and make sure it goes in the right spaces. Okay, then lastly, I'm just going to finish filling out this chart. So the profit down at the bottom, it said that we make $3 per tray of corn muffins. So that'll be $3, so 3X. And then it says my bran muffins are, I can't see, $2. So that'll be 2Y. Now, they didn't give us a money total, and that makes sense because we don't know yet what our total is. So this is a question mark. They won't let me put that in there. So leave this blank. I'm just gonna, we'll just put, I can't even put dots in there. What the heck? I can't put a question mark. Oh, there we go. Okay. I had to put my, I had to put the math function on to put a question mark in there. So that's what we're looking for is we don't know the total profit. That's our goal. Okay. So now that we figured that out, let's go up to, now we're on number 2, which is what are the constraints? Okay, so remember before in our last problem, I said, we're always gonna have 4. If you notice, there's 4 lines in this problem. The first 2 are your zeros, meaning that your X or your corn muffins have got to be greater than or equal to 0. We can't have negative pans of corn muffins. And the second one is then going to be your Y or your bran muffins also cannot be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so those 2 are going to be the same every single problem you do. Okay, so that's a given for you. Yay. So our next 2 are down here, our milk and our flour equations down here. So equation number 3 is going to be the 4X plus 2Y. And then we only have 16 cups. So that means we can't go over 16 cups. So that would be less than or equal to 16. And then your next one will be that line of the flour cups. So that'll be 3X plus 3Y has to be less than or equal to 15. So those are our 4 constraints. Okay, so see why it's a little bit different than the last problem we did, because we didn't need a chart to fill that one out because there was, only one set of equations that had 2 variables. But I specifically helped you for your homework. It'll be mapped out. You'll know when do I do the chart and when do I not do the chart. Okay, our objective function then is also on that line. So our objective function would be the profit, or how many trays, So I guess it doesn't matter. Profit function will be x comma y equals 3x plus 2y. That would be how you would write your profit function. And that's what we don't know yet. That's what we are going to find. Okay, let me stop there and just pause. Does anyone have any questions so far, or confused as to how I set up these equations? Or anyone have any questions? No, Ms. Sawinski, we are ready to go. Great. Let's keep it moving. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. So let's try to get through the end goal of our problem here. Okay, so now we have to, oh, we had a question?
In the chat.
Oh, I did not see it. I don't see it. Wait. Where's my chat at? Oh, there we are, huh? Oh, that's a good question. Wow, okay. Let me back up. All right, Jamila, do we have to have a specific part of the problem for X and Y? Does it matter? That's a good question. So it doesn't really matter if you switch your X and the Y around. It's not going to matter. It's like, so let's say you do that. Back in the last example, what did we have? We had 3 mowing and 2 pruning. So if you did switch it around, your answer would just be reversed in the problem. So like it would be 2 comma 3 instead of 3 comma 2. And it wouldn't be wrong. It would still be associated the correct way. So even if you mess that, or like not mess it up, but even if you switch them around, your coordinate points will be switched around and it will still match. It will still work. So that's a great question. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me back it up here. Okay, got it. Good deal. So if anyone's confused about that, if you do mess it up, usually I know, like what I go with is the first thing that they give me. So the first thing that was listed here was the corn muffins. So because that's the first, I just make that my X. That's my rule of thumb with it. And then the second one is Y. But again, if you mess it up, your coordinates will be reversed and you'll still get the same answer as everybody else. Okay. Good question, guys. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't have my chat up and it didn't give me a notification, so I didn't know what was up. Okay, let's go on to the graphs then. So the graphs here, let me get to my back up here. Okay, make this bigger. So remember, we always have the X and the Y. So you're always going to have your X and Y axis as the constraints. So you're always going to have that. And then now we have to graph these other two. So I'm just going to come back up here and solve for my Y real quick. So I would subtract my 4x. So 2y would be less than or equal to negative 4x plus 16. And then I would divide by 2. So my y would be, I'm getting lazy with my less than or equal to negative 2x plus 8. Okay, so I'll graph that one in, let's go green. So I'm going to come up here to the 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put a dot there, and then I'll go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Great, I messed that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Because I can't see. There we go. Okay, so there's my line right there. I'm going to erase those other guys here. Oh, but then everything's going to erase, you jerks. Okay, the second equation then, I think we're okay to go here. The last equation then here, when I subtract, I'll subtract my 3x over. So I'll have negative 3x plus 15, and then I'll divide by 3 and get y is less than or equal to negative 1x plus 5. So I will graph this in, let's do Poiple. So I will go up to the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put my dot down 1 over 1. Okay. Now, if you're doing this on your paper, it's going to look a lot better than this graph, so you can see exactly where they intersect. So here, right in this region, that little spot, that's your feasible region. Remember, what we're looking for are those 4 points. So those 4 points, I'll use the black dot here. So 1, 2, right there, 3, and 4. So I'm going to type those in here as my points of intersection. So it's going to be 0, 0. So hopefully you can see this if you're doing this on your own. 0, 0. It'll be 0, 5. That's the one up on the top. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. And then lastly, that one right in the middle there is going to be at 3, 2. Okay. Now, the next step, which it is I'm going to go quickly because we are at a time right now, but just to explain, and you can always go back to this. So the next step on number 5 is to plug in each of these in the profit function. So if I do that, this one is obviously going to be 0 equals 0. This one is going to be 10. The 4 is going to be 12. And the 3, 2 is going to be 13. You can trust me, or you can go and look at, just plug it in mentally real quick, that's what you would get. So number 6 says so this would be number 5. Number 6 says at what vertex is the objective function maximized? That would be right here. That is my maximum value right here, is at 3, 2. So question 7 then says, interpret this. What does this mean? So this means that I would want to sell 3 trays of corn muffins and 2 trays of bran muffins to maximize my profit. So that is the big key question number 7 right here. What's the point of all of this? Okay, I know that was a lot, but let's take some time to process it. So I'm going to open up just to show you your homework. So you only have 2 problems, and slide number 6. Yes, slide number 6 is on your homework packet. Let me see if slide number 7 is. Yes, so slide number 6 and slide number 7, they are both on your homework packets. But what I did for you, if you notice, is I typed out the steps for you. So all you have to do is kind of fill in the blanks as you go along. Okay, so you're just going to try to model the 2 types of problems that we did today on your own to see if you can fill them in and see how you're doing. Tomorrow, we're not doing anything different. We're just going to go over these again, make sure you're set. We'll probably do one more just for like clarification, and then you will have 1 problem for a take-home homework piece. Okay. Okay, guys, that is it. If you have any questions, please email me later, and have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow.